looking forward.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Ishan Isaac with Zishan on air, and we have a lot of news and analysis that we would like to cover, and I will go through it. So, first of all, Israel says Gaza is burning, quote unquote, as it launches ground assault, reported by Reuters and other news outlets. And the Wall Street Journal has also reported this, and that was one of the major escalation that in the volatile region that we call the Middle East. Israel's attack blew up Qatar's bet on being friends with everyone. That was the headline in our very famous news publication, the Wall Street Journal. Attack on Hamas leaders is in the U.S. allies' capital is pressuring Doha's strategy of being a back channel to adversaries while showering money on friends. And this is where some of the Hamas leaders were there in the building, and that's when Israeli fighter jets they attacked this building. President Trump also said that it was good to get rid of Hamas, but at the same time, he also mentioned that I'm not thrilled about the whole situation, quote unquote. President Trump, but at the same time, he said that it was good to get rid of Hamas. Remember that the U.S. State Department has already labeled many years ago Hamas as a terrorist organization. And this is where you can see all those who are following me on YouTube Live and Facebook Live. And if you have not subscribed my YouTube channel, please do, so I can continue to bring you up-to-date information and developments as they occur. Qatar's Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani, he mentioned in the press conference that Qatar has spared no effort in order to stop this war, and I also paraphrase that this is also not a situation conducive for talks, and valid talks, and smoke rises from the evacuated Al Wafiri Tower as it collapses after it was hit by Israeli airstrikes. And then this is where Israel says that that Hamas has to surrender, give up all the hostages. And they also said that this is the building where Hamas leadership celebrated the October 7th attacks 2 years ago. Israel sent about 10 fighter jets, a lot of analysts and military experts, and this is also reported by a U.S. defense official has told the Associated Press Israeli jets launched ballistic missiles targeting Hamas in Qatar. Israeli fighter jets over the Red Sea launched ballistic missiles to target Hamas leaders in Qatar last week, a U.S. defense official has told the Associated Press. And in the visual, you can see in this picture that Israeli jets took off, they went to the Red Sea, and then now it's argued and questioned, and then you have to ask the government of Saudi Arabia, you got to ask the government of Jordan and others that did they flew over your airspace. That is speculation, but this is where, as reported by the Associated Press, and they quoted this defense official. The Hill has reported previously, and this is also public information. A lot of people know, but at least what the public know, that Al Udeid Air Base, this is the strategic asset for U.S. power in the Gulf, and this is where the CENTCOM's headquarters is. And some are already asking the strategic value and perhaps moving this CENTCOM's headquarters somewhere else, but that would carry enormous financial and operational costs at a time when regional stability is increasingly fragile. So the largest U.S. military base in the region, hosting nearly 11,000 American troops and more than 100 aircraft, are actually in Qatar. And Qatar has spent more than $8 billion with a B, Bravo, upgrading infrastructure, including $1.4 billion on troop housing and airfield improvements. Beyond hosting the base, Qatar remains a key regional partner, collaborating with the U.S. on counterterrorism efforts, intelligence sharing, and weapons procurement. Qatar's purchase of F-15s from Boeing alone has generated tens of thousands of American jobs. Yet they couldn't defend themselves, and at the same time, maybe it was consent previously given, as many experts are saying, because there are over 750 U.S. bases all over the world. A lot of people talk about China. China only got two, as many experts have said, and U.S. has over 750. And like I mentioned, any airspace all over the world, the U.S. Air Force and the satellites would pick up on it. So make no mistake there in terms of the military strength and the capabilities of the United States of America and the Air Force. As U.S. reliability falters, as CNN reported, Saudi Arabia turns to a nuclear armed ally. So within this entire complexity of the Middle Eastern region, Pakistan is the only nuclear nation in that world. And although many say that don't link the nuclear power with a Muslim state, but Pakistan consider itself as Islamic Republic. That is the official name. So they conducted their first nuclear test in 1998, and who bankrolled it or who provided the financial backing? It was the Saudi Arabia, and that was the understanding that Saudi Arabia and Pakistan had for decades. And all the experts they know this, the U.S. officials and even those who basically follow this region closely, they know this. So why it was such a public display of unity, and attack on one country is considered an attack on the other, sort of like the Article 5 of NATO now between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. This is where the dynamics of the Middle Eastern politics are changing with regards to many Gulf states. They consider themselves at risk because of what's happening in that region. So just in the Trump 1.0, and then recently Riyadh rolled out the purple royal carpets for Trump during the first international trip of his second term. But the defense pact Riyadh sought has yet to materialize, because Riyadh spent more than $160 billion on U.S. Military capabilities, or buying or procuring the military hardware and other equipment. Pakistan says its nuclear program can be made available to Saudi Arabia under defense pact. A lot of people and experts are saying it's a treaty, it's not an agreement. The key difference between a treaty and agreement, the agreement can always be cancelled, or anyone can pull out of that agreement, but a treaty remains forever. And that is where the U.S. Was aware of this, because during the Persian Gulf War, there were Pakistani troops there, and then U.S. made sure that there were no Pakistani troops presence there in Saudi Arabia. So a lot of political chess game that is being played here. Now, as you can see these pictures here, the Crown Prince MBS, and he is the de facto leader of Saudi Arabia, met the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif, on 17 September in Riyadh. And the way the carpet and the purple carpet was rolled out, and the body language, and how both leaders, as you can see these images on social media as well that I'm displaying, there was a lot of camaraderie. And this is where they just made it public in terms of the arrangement that now both countries have for each other. And at the same time, going back in history, King Abdulaziz of Saudi Arabia, the grandfather of MBS, he met President FDR, Franklin D. Roosevelt, aboard the USS Quincy, February 14th in 1945. That's where the U.S. guaranteed the protection and security of the Saudi Arabia. But is that protection over? Well, there are a lot of bases in and around, as some people say, and the troops are also present in Saudi Arabia. So what is it? That is where we're going to discuss in a minute with regards to what is happening worldwide. So today, some countries recognize Palestinian statehood. That's where the UK, Canada, and Australia formally recognize a Palestinian state, breaking with the US. Now, this Sunday announcement by the UK formally recognized the state of Palestine. What does that mean? That's a big historical and symbolic weight in terms of the Downing Street decision also carries this symbolic weight, because here is why. The Balfour Declaration, Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy has previously said Britain has a historic responsibility to facilitate a two-state solution because it dates back to the 1917 Balfour Declaration, and I'm sharing these images. Those are formal declarations and formal letters, where in the Balfour Declaration in 1917, which pledged that the creation of a Jewish state would not infringe on our rights. Now, it dates back to the 1917 Balfour Declaration, signed and with the seal, as you can see. But the U.S. has now strongly opposed the recognition moves by its European allies, and U.S. has now put all the leadership of the Palestinians, especially in the West Bank and the Palestinian Authority, on these sanctions that they cannot visit the UN General Assembly's summit that will be happening soon. So before I dive into the US domestic news, let's just talk about what's happening. First of all, Pakistanis or the Pakistani military strength, everyone in the world knows it's a very strong and disciplined army. That means that Pakistani army will provide all the support that MBS and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia would need. And an attack on Pakistan will be considered an attack on Saudi. That means although the Saudi military may not be as powerful, but the financial backing that Pakistan would require, or maybe the oil that Pakistani government or the Pakistani state would require, that would come directly from Saudi Arabia now. How it would come from a logistics, that's a separate decision. What would be that impact on Russia or China? Well, Russia, they are already good friends with Saudi Arabia as well. They are not bothered by it because this is, some experts are saying it's a conduit. Pakistan is playing as a conduit to China because China has already provided all the ballistic missiles to Saudi Arabia. And Pakistan, in terms of military capability, which they have already publicized it and made it public, is they produce or co-produce with China the GF-17, and in some cases they completely produce GF-17 Thunder fighter jets in Pakistan. So what does that mean? Would the Air Force would also go? We don't know. Probably not, because the US would know if any airspace violations would occur. And does that mean US consent was there? That is something that we will see in the coming days or weeks. But conventional wisdom tells me that yes, US consent was definitely there. Otherwise, Saudi Arabia is a long ally, and this is hedging or keeping an insurance policy or something at their back pockets. If US somehow do not come to the rescue of Saudi Arabia, then at least they will resort to the Pakistanis and the Pakistani army to defend Saudi Arabia. So a lot to gain for Saudis. Financially, Pakistan can gain, but at the same time, a lot of people are scratching their heads. But who is the enemy of Saudi Arabia? Perhaps no one, because they are good friends with many partners in the region. Many people say that Israel, no, they have never attacked Israel directly. I'm talking about Saudi Arabia. Yes, there was Arab-Israeli war, but at the same time, if you go and read the history, there are some other nuances to it. And then with regards to who they are at war with Yemen. That is started in 2015. It is still being continued. And the former army chief back in 2015, the Pakistani parliament has actually denied any involvement or did not want to be involved in any conflict with Yemen, which is another country south of Saudi Arabia. And their population is very close to Saudi's population, just a couple of million people less, but it's a country where a lot of Houthis and these folks are fighting, and that war is not going in favor of Saudi Arabia. So the former army chief of Pakistan, Rahil Sharif, in his capacity after retiring from the Pakistan army, went on, and he is still continuing to serve this alliance of the coalition of the willing with Saudi Arabia to fight that Yemen. That war is still continuing. So that's the only enemy, as we know. Who is Pakistan's enemy or the arch rivals? I don't have to say it, but everyone knows is India. Now, India is certainly at a point or at crossroads where they are perhaps going to move more toward Russia, and they may have to depend on Russia. because of this move by Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. So some interesting factors that are happening in terms of the geopolitical game that is being played out. And we'll see how it shapes up in the next few weeks and months, or is it a broader coalition of alliance, and are the battle lines being drawn? We don't know, or nothing would happen, or something may happen, and that remains to be seen. But at the end of the day, the US definitely knows about this, and perhaps there was a wink, or the Trump administration will play their political maneuvers in terms of the existing Pakistan's army chief Asim Munir was here in Washington D.C. a few weeks ago, and even when U.S. attacked Iran, that was a surprise attack, and then at the same time, this partnership between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan has been there for decades, and they have friends for decades. So we'll continue to keep an eye in terms of these developments. With the local U.S. domestic news, appeal courts allows Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook to keep her job. She's one of the Federal Reserve governors. And while this meeting with the Federal Reserve Board was meeting in terms of setting interest rates, this judgment basically came about. And also at the same time, on Friday, the Washington Post obtained documents raised questions about Trump's assertion that Cook committed mortgage fraud. And at the same time, no precedent in the 111-year history of Federal Reserve has fired a governor from a 7-member board, which is tasked with maintaining maximum employment as well as low and stable inflation. The government does not dispute that failed to provide Cook even minimal process, that is, notice of the allegation against her and a meaningful opportunity to respond before she was purportedly removed, unquote. The majority wrote in the 2-1 ruling, and we'll see how especially this particular situation plays out. Trump endorses a dramatic shift to the U.S. economy. So in the latest bid to reshape the American economy, President Donald Trump has endorsed ending the decades-long practice of public companies sharing their financial results each quarter. So that means quarterly reporting will no longer be there. And this is a dramatic shift aimed at combating short-term thinking inside C-suites obsessed with pleasing investors, but would also mean far less timely insights into the business world and the real economy, as reported by CNN and other major outlets. Here, what that means is every 6 months, biannual reporting will occur. The criticism of short-term thinking echoes arguments made by others in the past, including JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon and legendary investor Warren Buffett. And here is what is being said by Trump, quote, "This will save money and allow managers to focus on properly running their companies," unquote, Trump said. Did you ever, and he further asked, did you ever hear the statement that, quote, "China has a 50 to 100-year view on the management of a company, whereas we run our companies on a quarterly basis," question mark, question mark, question mark, 3 times, not good, exclamation mark. So that's where Trump is coming from. Hillary Clinton, in Trump's 2016 presidential election opponent, said in 2016 she was, quote, "deeply distressed about quarterly capitalism," unquote. So there is some, I would say, consensus, not completely, but to a certain degree, as reported by CNN as well. The Wall Street Journal has reported the meeting is unfolding, and this meeting with the Federal Reserve, when after months of attacks from President Trump over the Fed's reluctance to lower rates, but also parallel legal dramas that have cast doubt on who will attend the meeting. So a 2-1 ruling that came out, as I mentioned earlier, from federal appeals in terms of allowing the federal governor Lisa Cook to attend the 2-day meeting that began Tuesday, and the Federal Reserve has reduced the interest rate by 25 basis points. That means from 4% to 4.25. The Fed on Wednesday lowered its benchmark rates to the 4% to 4.25% range, the first change since Trump returned to office, and a move supported by most of the Fed's policymakers, including Trump's other appointees to the central bank. The Federal Reserve basically has this rate cuts after long pauses have been a boon for stocks, as reported by the New York Times. At this point, the economy is still struggling. More Americans are facing stretches of unemployment of 6 months or more, a worrisome sign for the U.S. economy. And the long-term unemployment is rising, as you can see in this chart as well. Confidence in being able to find a job is an all-time low, as reported by the New York Fed survey of consumer expectations, and reported by the Washington Post. And the Washington Post also had this headline: "Long-term unemployment at post-pandemic high, straining workers and economy." So amidst all of this, Trump imposes 100K fee on H-1B visas in new immigration action, and this is where the Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has also unveiled this program. Trump Gold Card is here, which was announced previously, and now they're also saying that the policy will expedite visas for foreigners who pay the US $1 million while allowing a company to pay $2 million to speed up the process for a foreign worker that it sponsors, and 100K on all the new applicants. Donald J. Trump reported on at the Truth Social website, where he posts his a lot of his statements. "Today, we are proud to announce the Trump Gold Card. The card will be available for $1 million for individuals and $2 million for corporations. Far too long, we have had millions of illegal aliens pouring into our country, and our immigration system was broken. It is beyond time that the American people and American taxpayers are benefiting from our legal immigration system. We anticipate the Trump Gold Card will generate well over $100 billion very quickly. This money will be used for reducing taxes, pro-growth projects, and paying down our debt. Buy the Trump Gold Card now," and that's basically what he posted at trumpcard.gov. And you can see his picture there. Now, with this 100K fee on the new applicants, basically means, and this is reported, that representing India's $283 billion with a B, bravo, IT and business process outsourcing industry, NASSCOM warned on Saturday of disruptions. So this news basically has been spreading like wildfire, and it has become viral, obviously, because Trump to impose $100,000 fee per year for H-1B visas in blow to tech. And this is where Howard Lutnick, Commerce Secretary, said, "Train Americans, stop bringing in people to take our job. That's the policy here." Means he's saying train Americans to the U.S. corporations, to the U.S. companies. And Trump administration and President Donald Trump met all the CEOs of these Fortune 100, especially the top CEOs of the tech and other sectors as well, just about a couple of weeks ago in the White House. And this particular fee is not going to be imposed on current visa holders or to renewals. Many people are saying, why not? And this is where you got to go and ask the Trump administration this question. The fee announced on Friday prompted some major U.S. tech firms to advise visa holders to either remain in the country or return before it takes effect. So a lot is happening in the United States of America. I always say this, that we live in the best country in the world. Yes, these are troubling times, unstable economy, but at the same time, this is the United States of America, and you should never bet against the United States of America. And with that, I report you decide, and please subscribe my YouTube channel and also connect with me on Facebook. And with that, I'm going to continue with the legacy media, and also would like to thank our key advertisers. Because of them, I'm able to provide you all this great news, information, and analysis. Would like to thank Affordable Insurance of Texas, AITinsurance.com, for all your insurance needs: auto insurance, commercial insurance, business insurance, health insurance, homeowners insurance. And for all your auto insurance quotes, please call 713-785-4000. You'll save hundreds and thousands of dollars. 713-785-4000, or you can go online, AITinsurance.com. And also, I would like to mention Group Sari Palace, would like to thank them as well. Group Sari Palace, you can go online, groupsari.com, and you can certainly get all the formal wear for grooms and also for brides and for boys and girls and men and women of all different ages. And at the same time, these evening gowns to formal wear for men and women. And you can see these pictures also online, and go to loopsari.com or call them 832-267-0065. They're located in Houston, Greater Houston area at Hillcroft, close to Harvard. And their phone number, as I mentioned, 832-267-0065, or visit groupsari.com. You can order online as well. Groupsari, ROOPSARI.com. So with that, I would like to sign off, and we'll continue with the legacy media. Thank you.